Super Bowl 61 is expected to be a wild and intense game.
I'm going to say the Bills-Lions. That's a fair Super Bowl preview.
There are numerous teams that have their championship windows open, so today we're going to discuss 10 dream matchups for Super Bowl 61 that we wish could happen and give our takes on them. Buffalo Bills versus Philadelphia Eagles. One incredible matchup that we wish would take place would be Josh Allen and the Bills taking on Jalen Hurts and the Eagles in an intense showdown. Not to mention, we would see two passionate fan bases in Bills Mafia and Eagles Nation having the time of their lives at the Super Bowl. Allen has intense firepower with his arm talent and a bulldozing running style versus Hurts' lethal RPO as he punishes opponents with his deep ball accuracy and his relentless red zone rushing ability. The explosiveness of the Bills' offense would have to square off against the elite pass coverage and stout interior of the Eagles' defense coached by defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. These two teams met in a tight defensive battle in Week 17 of the 2025 season, with the Eagles winning 13-12. So there would be some intense moments before and during this matchup. The key to an Eagles victory depends on unleashing their secondary on the Bills' wide receivers and shutting down DJ Moore for a majority of the game, and of course using Jalen Carter to collapse the pocket. The key to the Bills' victory would be to exploit the Eagles' historically vulnerable run defense with James Cooks and Allen's legs. However, if this Super Bowl were to happen, it would result in a 28-25 Eagles victory over the Bills. Denver Broncos versus Los Angeles Rams. The Broncos versus the Rams in Super Bowl 61 would be must-watch TV. Bo Nix is leading a young and upcoming offense, while Matthew Stafford is leading a talented offense of his own. Both the Broncos and Rams have incredible defenses, but the Rams have a slight edge with their defense thanks to their star power. Coincidentally, both the Rams and Broncos will meet in Week 3 of the regular season in Denver on Sunday Night Football for the world to see. So this might be a preview of what's to come. The Broncos would rely on their talented defense against the Rams' star-powered offense for an instant classic showdown, along with a star-powered Rams defense led by Myles Garrett against the Broncos offense. However, the Super Bowl is being played in Los Angeles, and so the Rams will have a bit of a home field advantage. This game will be incredibly close, but the final score of this dream Super Bowl would be 33-31 Rams. Buffalo Bills versus the Detroit Lions. A dream Super Bowl matchup the whole country could get behind would be the Bills taking on the Lions, as both franchises have never hoisted the Lombardi Trophy before. It would be Josh Allen and the Bills' high-powered offense against a rebuilding Lions defense, but the Bills would be heavily favored to win here. Yeah, sure, the Lions have grit and fight in them, but the Bills' offense would be a bit too much for them to handle during the Super Bowl. In the real world, both the Lions and Bills will square off against each other in Week 2 of the regular season on Thursday Night Football. If the Bills and Lions were to meet in the Super Bowl for real, Allen would have a huge edge over Jared Goff, thanks to his elite rushing and arm strength, allowing him to carry the game on his own. Not to mention, the Lions' defense has really struggled in recent years, especially against elite vertical passing attacks, which is exactly what the Bills' offense typically runs. So, if we were to actually see a Bills versus Lions Super Bowl, it would be the Bills dominating 41-20 and having Bills Mafia celebrating till Monday morning. Kansas City Chiefs versus Green Bay Packers. A Chiefs versus Packers Super Bowl 61 matchup would be an insane dream-come-true rematch of the first Super Bowl, as it would pit Patrick Mahomes and a reloaded Chiefs offense against Jordan Love and a highly explosive and upcoming Packers team. The Chiefs are working to redefine themselves by leaning into their reloaded run game, consisting of Super Bowl 60 MVP Kenneth Walker III, as well as an overhauled secondary. They are still a very dangerous team to square up against, especially with a healthy Patrick Mahomes. The Packers, on the other hand, have dealt with nagging injuries during the 2025 season. They still boast a top 10 offense and are implementing a new defensive scheme under defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon. Their defense will get more aggressive when Micah Parsons returns mid-season from a torn ACL too. In this dream Super Bowl, Love and the Packers would give the Chiefs a run for their money. But when the dust finally settles, it would be the Chiefs emerging victorious 31-24. As, well, quite simply, the Chiefs have better coaching under Andy Reid and a lot more championship experience. Baltimore Ravens versus Chicago Bears. The Ravens versus Bears in Super Bowl 61 would be an incredible matchup to watch, as we would see two dynamic quarterbacks in Lamar Jackson and Caleb Williams play their best football that we've ever seen. The Bears and Ravens last met in Week 8 of the 2025 season, with the the Ravens winning 30-16 thanks to dominant run execution and capitalizing on fourth-quarter mistakes by the Bears. This dream Super Bowl matchup would be completely different, as the Ravens enter the big dance with a strong defense led by Roquan Smith against a high-powered Bears offense. It would also be a revenge story for Smith, as he was traded from the Bears to the Ravens in the 2022 offseason. If these teams do meet in Super Bowl 61, well, we're betting on the Ravens to emerge victorious 35-21. Cincinnati Bengals versus Detroit Lions. Another exciting dream matchup for Super Bowl 61, as both teams haven't won the Super Bowl and rank as top contenders that can break their championship droughts. Both the Bengals and Lions fan bases are passionate for their teams and would take over SoFi Stadium for the weekend. It would be an incredible quarterback duel between Joe Burrow and Jared Goff, who both have incredibly talented offenses to work with. However, the Lions have the better offense with guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Sam Laporta to work with. These two franchises last met in the 2025 season when the Lions defeated the Bengals 37-24 at Paycor Stadium in Week 5. This dream Super Bowl matchup would be a revenge game for the Bengals. Although currently the Lions may be favored to win, the Bengals honestly have a slightly better roster heading into 2026, especially with the additions of Boye Mafe, Brian Cook, Jonathan Allen, and Dexter Lawrence on defense. And so we predict this game would result in a Bengals 27-17 win over the Lions. Houston Texans versus Green Bay Packers. The Texans have arguably the best defense, while the Packers have a young offense. When healthy, CJ Stroud has elite deep ball accuracy and has plenty of talented offensive weapons to work with, including Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and David Montgomery, while Jordan Love has Christian Watson, Josh Jacobs, and Tucker Kraft. Both these teams are young and upcomers who have the talent to make deep playoff runs and have great coaching behind them as well. Both teams will square off in Week 17 of the 2026 regular season, which should be an interesting matchup, and perhaps a slight preview of what's to come. If these teams were to meet in Super Bowl 61, it would be an incredibly competitive matchup. But the Texans would likely have the edge with their elite defense and ultimately win out 20-10, giving the Texans their first Super Bowl victory. Baltimore Ravens versus Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are currently favored to win the NFC and potentially Super Bowl 61 itself, as they bolstered their secondary and pass rush with Myles Garrett, Trent McDuffie, and Jalen Watson respectively. The Ravens are favored to win their division and make a run in the playoffs, as they boast a talented roster on all sides of the ball, with Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, and Zay Flowers on offense. Not to mention, both the Rams and Ravens have young and exciting coaches commanding their teams in Sean McVay and Jesse Minter. However, McVay does have more championship experience. Both teams last met in the 2025 season, with the Rams winning 17-3, as Lamar Jackson was dealing with hamstring injuries and the rest of the Ravens roster was really banged up. But this matchup would hopefully see a much healthier Ravens roster ready to put up a fight against reigning MVP Matthew Stafford and his high-powered offense. It would be a very exciting matchup, but the Rams ultimately would have the edge with the game in SoFi Stadium and a star-studded roster. And so, the Rams would win 31-24. Houston Texans versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A Texans versus Buccaneers dream matchup in Super Bowl 61 would be an explosive affair, as the Texans boast the league's best defense, while the Buccaneers have a young, talented offense when healthy. CJ Stroud should be ready to take the next step in his career by redeeming himself after early playoff exits in the last few seasons, while Baker Mayfield looks ready to rebound after missing the playoffs. Stroud would have to deal with a blitz-heavy defense crafted by defensive-minded head coach Todd Bowles, while Mayfield would have to deal with a physically aggressive defense coached by DeMeco Ryans. Both the Buccaneers and Texans met in Week 2 of the 2025 regular season, with the Bucs narrowly winning 20-19 in a very intense showdown. This dream Super Bowl scenario would be no different from their 2025 meeting, as both Mayfield and Stroud play with grit and possess great offensive playmakers at their disposal. As exciting as it would be to see Mayfield win his first Lombardi Trophy, the Texans hold the edge here due to their elite defense, which would cause headaches for Mayfield, thus resulting in a close 24-22 victory for Houston. New England Patriots versus Los Angeles Rams. Hyped up to the max, as it would be a rematch of Super Bowl 53 and Super Bowl 36. However, this Patriots team has Drake May, A.J. Brown, and a gritty defense coached by Mike Vrabel, who has something to prove. The Rams, meanwhile, have reigning MVP Matthew Stafford, who commands a Pro Bowl caliber offense with Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and Kyren Williams. On defense, the Rams are fully loaded with talent, with reigning Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett all ready to roll. Although the Patriots won the last two Super Bowl meetings, this time around, it would be the Rams reigning supreme 24-10, thanks to their home field advantage at SoFi Stadium and their elite defense taking control of that entire game. But hey, What dream matchup would you like to see for Super Bowl 61? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.